Good evening, everyone. Hello, happy Monday. I'm seeing several of you on. It's lovely to see you. Hi, Judy. I see you there. Lovely to see you from Oakland, all the way from faraway Oakland. I hope it's pleasant there. And I see all the rest of you. Welcome, everyone. I knew when I announced the topic, which was going to be practicing with forgiveness today. Uh, Forgiveness is a practice. And the thing about practicing forgiveness, sometimes called mercy, even a level of compassionate abiding, the thing about it is that we have to be watchful, I think, to also be able to be somewhat forgiving and merciful with ourselves. I think the habit in forgiveness practice, and we're going to be doing a very traditional forgiveness in the three directions practice, as well as then resting in the openness, empty, luminous heart. That is the result when we finally have opened to forgiveness. I don't know if there's anything quite as boundless as a forgiving and merciful, as well as compassionate heart. I think our tendency, I guess maybe I'll speak for myself. I think my tendency in once upon a time was to feel like I had to be completely forgiving when I wasn't yet capable. When I yet had confusion or bias. I had a storyline about my righteousness or about the other's wrongness. And one of the things about forgiveness practice that I have come to appreciate more in the many years since is that we cannot tear the bloom open, and you cannot tear the heart open. You can want forgiveness, but then you have to be as regarding about the truth of the experience you're in, which may be not quite yet forgiving. And can we then, when we confront those barriers, when we confront that pain, when we confront that confusion, can we then be forgiving to ourselves in our not yet ripened heart? And I just believed I should be forgiving. I believed it was the right thing. By the way, I don't think that was wrong. It was the right thing, not because there is a right or wrong. It ended up being the right thing because it ended up being less suffering for me, and consequently less suffering for others, and particularly those others who I cared about for this reason, which has taken me a couple years to get to, maybe 65 years to get to. Because when we are not yet able or ready to be forgiving, that part of the heart can then not be made available to love. It cannot then be made available to peace. You cannot find the way to the opening, the space, the room in that part of the heart. But it is what it is, isn't it? It is the truth of suffering for us. There is no other who pays the karmic debt of the inability to forgive greater than we ourselves. This is very difficult for us to figure out because at the time, and again, I'll speak for myself, at the time that we are not forgiving, we have a storyline perpetuating. And the storyline is, this shouldn't have happened to me. And there's a strong piece of that storyline, even when all harms are destructive, even when all harm and aggression is unskillful, the one who ends up paying the greatest price for that lack of forgiveness is actually you. You pay the biggest price. And that's for sure. But then the work in this practice is to see where we can open, not to force opening, not to force forgiveness. This is not of benefit in any way, but to see where is it actually possible to be forgiving. And if it's not possible to be forgiving, then to see what might be possible. Is it possible then to just open space to the reality that there are infinite causes and conditions that have resulted in this action larger than you can see or know, larger than that person in front of you who did the wrong, harming thing. And of course, we know the answer to this already is there are infinite factors, well beyond any that you might imagine. And so in one of the Zen koans, it says, who do we blame for the wrongdoing? Do we blame the actor? Do we blame their parents for their contribution? Do we blame their grandparents? Do we blame the conditions culturally, socially, financially, and otherwise? And the answer is yes, to some extent. All of those are factors that have played their part. And so this forgiveness in the three directions is one of my favorite practices. It's very routine, ritualed, in that I will read the statements. And we read them because we want them to be as consistent, non-discriminatory, non-biased, non-partial as possible. So I will read them because we don't want to go, well, I'm a little better at forgiveness in this direction, but maybe not quite so much there and even less over there. So I'm going to read those statements. And then I will send it to you if you would like to continue to practice with this on your own in your way. I would say the greatest gift I have offered myself next to compassion. Which I would say is one of my greatest gifts to myself. The second greatest gift to myself that I know is that of forgiving others. Actually, not just myself, but forgiving others so that I could actually also forgive myself. And it has worked in both directions. And we're going to see the effect of that. What happens when we open there? What happens when we open to ourselves? What happens when we open to the other? So let's take a look at that today. There's just something by Jeff Foster that I have here, and I just thought we'd look at it a little. I don't want to take a lot of time, but I thought it was relevant, particularly a few lines. All feelings are only looking for a loving home, for mercy, that's that forgiveness part, and protection. All feelings, all experience. Feelings that have been resisted, pushed away, denied, banished, do not actually disappear. They live on in the darkness of the soul. It says here the unconscious, homeless and hungry for love, I would say acknowledgement. Pulling the strings in our relationships, our bodies, our work in the world, getting in the way of our joy. Screaming for attention deep down in the underworld. They sap and drain our vitality and self-expression, cause us to become reactive, compulsive, impulsive, and obsessive, depressed and anxious, and ultimately affecting our physical health, all in their attempt to get us to pay attention and to listen. Until one day we remember all feelings are sacred and have a right to exist in us, even the messiest, the most inconvenient and painful ones. And we remember to turn towards our feelings instead of running away, to soften into them, to make room for them instead of numbing them or ignoring them. These three ghosts, now fed with our love, our warm attention, our curiosity and presence, now given a home in us, can finally come to rest. They no longer need to pull the strings in our lives. They do not have that power. They now have the empathy they always longed for. I won't read the rest now. But again, if you're looking for that or interested in that in any way, just know I'm happy to send it to you. And so I'm going to check chat for just a moment, just to make sure that everyone is settled. Thank you so much, Carol. Yes, Carol, I will send you both of these readings, and anyone else who requests, just make sure to write that in chat, because the chat is saved here and I can get that to you. And thank you for your blessings. I'm appreciative of your being here today. I'm going to put this on hold for now. So I'm going to stop share just for a time. And I get to see everybody in the gallery. Good to see you all. And so prepare to sit. And when I say sit, you already know, if you've been here before, that this also means you can choose to lie down. Let me tell you why I prefer lying for the forgiveness practice. I think it places the heart first. I think with each in-breath, then the heart rises up in us in a way that I think can be really helpful to us. Our natural inclination is actually quite contrary, isn't it? It's actually to close around the heart and to become protective, or to close it off. And I like the posture that really invites the most open-heartedness available. So if you're sitting and you have a place where you can choose to lie, please choose to do so. Here's my promise to you: you are not going to go to sleep. The nature of forgiveness practice electrifies us, because it also comes with the pain. It also comes with the confusion. It also comes with the struggle. And so one of the things I'm not concerned about is you're actually going to sleep if you are lying during this practice. But lying in a way that invites, as I said, this heart-centered approach. Thank you. All right, here we go. I'm going to get my bell. Good to see you all. I'm recording just to let Leslie know. Leslie, good to see you also. And so you're going to be lying. And one of the things we do in all practice is begin in a basic calm abiding practice. We want to stabilize, center, settle, calm and open the mind. We want a little steadiness before we jump into strong emotional reactions and energies. And so let's just find the body sitting or lying here. Make contact with that envelope of skin holding you together. That thin barrier is not what keeps you separate from others at all. It is our own fearful, pained, protective hearts. The skin is porous. The closed heart is not. Just breathing in the body, beginning to make contact with the sense of the body present here. Pouring that light of awareness, that golden presence right in through the top of the head, all the way down the body into the feet. Feeling the aliveness, the vibration, the sensations available there. There's nothing to force or require, nothing to fabricate or demand. Whatever's happening in the feet is good enough. Just feel what's there. Moving from the feet up into the legs. Breathing up from the feet, feeling into the ankles, the knees, the shins, the calves, and then as you're ready, just moving around that part of the body on the exterior, and then moving directly in all the way beyond the muscle, the soft tissue, the vascular system of blood flowing into the bone and beyond the bone, right there into the marrow. You can actually feel that. Breathing in. And then moving directly from the lower legs up into the knee and the upper legs, doing so in your own time. Remembering we're filling the body with presence, loving, compassionate, abiding wakefulness. Moving up into the upper legs and then up into the pelvis, the hips, the genitals, the pelvic girdle. Letting the whole body settle into the space with each out breath. Drop the weapons. As you settle into the out breath. All this protection, all this shield, this armor, all this barrier has cost you your happiness, your freedom, your joy, your kindness, and your love. And so we dissolve it in the safety of our own heart minds. In the loving arms of our own presence, we begin to soften up. And it's not just the physical body that we're softening, though it's a beautiful beginning. We're softening and releasing all the anger, all the self-righteousness, all of the explanation for why we have needed to be closed, disconnected, cut off, isolated, judgmental. There is no reason but one. And we breathe the truth of it with each out breath. like kneading fine bread. Moving from the hips up into the back. Into the shoulders and arms. Making contact with the hands and letting them be in whatever position or posture they are in. Let them be receptive, open, receiving, welcoming. Let at least the hands be forgiving. Moving back up the arms, back up to the shoulders and up into the back of the neck and the head. Feeling the beauty and the balance of that head. In air or resting. And then breathing down and into the front of the body, the forehead, the face, the cheeks, the chin. Softening, opening. You cannot brace yourself against this life. It is already in you. Down beyond the jaw into the throat and chest. Feeling the quickening heart as it considers release. Is it worth it? Am I capable? And the answer to both is yes. Moving down from the chest, somewhere into the breathscape between the chest and the hip bones, finding a place to rest. Where do you sense the release most? Place the mind and one's attention there. Feeling its rise, its expanding, its opening and contracting. Feeling the truth of the ever-present flow of life. Moving in and through. No matter how much you have tried to brace yourself against it. This life that is yours. And then we offer this, the whole of this life, all of this awakened heart mind. This forgiveness, this mercy. We offer this to the end of suffering. For ourselves and all beings. And if you notice that it's available for you, but find the place that is, if you can rest into the breath going directly into the heart space, it's useful to do that if it's available to you. But sometimes, out of our own fears, out of our wish for protection, it doesn't feel very available. You might just choose to stay with it, even if you notice a kind of tight spot. But we're looking for the tender spot. And right beneath the tight spot, there it is. And so if you can feel the tightness, the contraction, the ache, the grip, that's just perfect. Stay in contact right there. Touch in. Breathing in and out and softening that whole area of the body. With each in-breath, I'd like you to imagine the truth of this heart growing larger. And maybe in one breath, it fills the chest. On the out breath, soften the body. In the next in-breath, the heart moves out through the back, softening the whole of the back. And on the out breath, it softens. And then fills the body slowly, breath by breath. Imagining as we have that radiant light of this all-pervading, loving, and awakened heart mind. Moving as it does in all directions. Creating light, space, room, and warmth with each breath. Feeling the sense of open space, of the boundlessness of this human heart, of your heart. Let it grow bigger, wider, deeper, more spacious with each breath. Let there be room enough in this very heart of yours for everything. Let this heart of yours take the shape of the sky, the open space, filling the body, the room, the house, the space outside, illuminating, radiating, pervading goodness in all directions. Nothing to think. Let the breath be natural and easy. Let the whole body and the mind relax with each out-breath. Continuing to touch in, breathing into the heart, sending out its goodness into that vast open space. The true size of the heart, well beyond the body, well beyond the mind, larger, more capable and boundless than you can imagine. This is the true nature of your own heart. Touch it on the in-breath and breathe it out. You will naturally begin to feel the sticky spots, the grip, the tightness, the contractedness. I can feel it. It's an ache right at the base of my own sternum. And we're not trying to blast through it. That's not the practice. But can we hold even that lightly, lovingly, gently? Can we forgive even this contraction of our own fear, our own confusion, our own pain? We can breathe in and touch right into it. We don't have to feel any differently at all. Nothing required. Just knowing the truth. There is vulnerability in this human life. And the wish for protection. There is a natural pain and ache, pinch, maybe a blocking numbness as we try to protect the heart. I call it touching into the tight spot. Just breathing in and around it. Remember, we're not blasting through. That's not the practice. Just knowing the price. This is the place of the dark hour, the place of the collapse, the closedness, the shutting down. And we already know the price. The light of awareness cannot shine. The light of loving presence cannot be made available here. And we know the truth of it. And then I'd like you to call to mind a way that you have caused harm or pain, confusion or distress to others. You might recollect one moment. I could quickly recollect many. A moment of reactivity, a moment of fear, a moment of not feeling enough, and seeking too much as the solution. And don't flood yourself. So you may just choose to recollect one. May even be something fairly mild or recent, if that's what comes to mind. We don't need to work with the most difficult moment, but a moment in which you have caused harm to another. We already know the truth that any harm you've caused another, you've also caused yourself. And that has come out of your own pain. Breathing into that tight spot, into that claustrophobia, into that grip. Holding it tenderly, lovingly, mercifully if that's possible, compassionately. And as you're breathing in, offering yourself these phrases. There are many ways that I have hurt and harmed others, have betrayed or abandoned them, caused them suffering knowingly or unknowingly. This has come out of my own pain, fear, anger, and confusion. Let yourself imagine or visualize the way that that harm has come. And again, be kind to yourself here. We don't try to tackle it all at once. Maybe just one moment that we already know became more. All shutdowns leading to other shutdowns. Feel the consequence, the result of this protection, this barrier, this separating, the isolation, the grief. Maybe you feel a physical pain as I do, literally right through the sternum into the heart. We could even hold that pain with our own hands in our own heart minds. The sorrow, the remorse, the regret, maybe even feeling still entitled, still deserving, still, it means that you have not yet come to see that there is no danger from outside of you, that the dangers all live within. We can protect ourselves once we see clearly. It doesn't require that we close our own hearts. Breathe in, sensing, feeling the release of this burden as you acknowledge this pain. And then we wholeheartedly ask for forgiveness. Picturing one way that you still feel the weighted heart. And then we ask the other for this forgiveness. I ask for your forgiveness. I ask for your forgiveness now. For this one whom I have caused pain, harm, distress. We can picture that other. Their response is not actually the point. It is that we have enough open-heartedness to ask, that we acknowledge and understand the way our own fearful heart has been limited. I ask for your forgiveness now. Breathing into the heart space, right where it hurts or aches. We can place the hands there, sometimes the fingers or even the thumb. Letting this be the portal to the opening, to making your own heart bigger. Breathing right in. I ask for your forgiveness now. Be watchful not to demand or force. Just make that possibility available and see what happens. And I just have a big ache. I'm just letting it ache in this way and letting my whole heart mind hold it. I can feel the sorrow, the regret, the remorse. I'm not making this all that I am. It's not true. I am the loving presence that can hold it. Even this. Soften the body, relax the face. See if we can keep that open, receptive presence, breathing out and open, creating space and room, feeling the boundlessness of our own hearts. And then feeling into that pained or achy heart, it's still there for me. We can also then offer ourselves forgiveness. This is the second direction. Not only are we asking forgiveness from someone we have harmed, we can ask forgiveness of ourselves and the harm we know we have caused. Remember, this is not the whole of our being. We are much bigger, larger, more open and spacious, luminous, in fact. And breathing in, letting that heart be even wider, more open. We can feel and then begin to see the ways that our actions have actually caused harm or pain to ourselves. Feeling the very consequence, the effects on the body of these unskillful, confused, pained actions. Breathing in, seeing if we can create space and room to hold ourselves in our own hearts. We can feel the grief, the shame, the guilt, the disappointment. Maybe you feel frustration that we have carried for so long as we have held on to this lack of forgiveness and really solidified ourselves around it, like mistaken ourselves for these actions. And we're going to see if we can't lighten that up a little bit. Seeing if we can just breathe in, allowing a little openness, letting some of the burden of this shame, this guilt, this lack of forgiveness, if we can't open the body a little, breathing in, making contact. And then offering ourselves this forgiveness. There are many ways that I've hurt and harmed myself, that I have betrayed or abandoned myself many times through thoughts, words, or deeds, knowingly and unknowingly. May I be present now to the consequences of this, the pain, the distress, the over-identification, whatever we're doing. Can I feel the preciousness, the vulnerability of my own tender heart? Can I hold this in loving, forgiving, or compassionate presence? See what's possible. Breathe in. Soften the body on the out breath. May I see the ways that I have hurt or harmed myself. Can I picture at least one of these ways? I can feel it now. I don't even have to go anywhere else. I can feel the distress and know that this, of course, has been amplified in many moments throughout these many years. Can I feel the grief, the regret, the sorrow, the remorse? And just breathe into it, allowing it to be. Allowing the heart to open, to dissolve some of the barrier, some of the isolation, some of the self-hatred, self-loathing, some of the disconnect from ourselves that have been the consequence of this lack of forgiveness. Can we extend at least a breath of forgiveness? One breath. For the harm we have caused that we could not know. This harm we have caused ourselves. Can we ask now, forgive me for the ways that I have hurt myself through actions, thoughts, words, or deeds, out of fear, pain, confusion, anger. I now extend to myself this breath of forgiveness. I forgive myself. I forgive myself. Creating big, wide, open, vast space, remembering the radiant heart that's shining in all directions. Can we create space and room for this pained heart? I forgive myself. And there's a lot to bump into here. There's shame, there's guilt, there's identifying with the wrongdoing, there's believing we are not deserving or worthy of forgiveness. It's just not true. There is no way forward, no way to healing, no way to love, as long as we hold on to this. But we can also be gentle. Maybe just touching near that tight spot. Seeing what's possible right now, that's all. I forgive myself to the extent that it is possible right now. As we breathe out, softening that body, dissolving it into that vast, boundless open space. That body, that heart. Letting it take the shape of that boundless reality. The truth of who we really are. I forgive myself. And just notice what's happening, letting it be as it is. Whatever feels like too much, or just bumping up into too much contraction or flooding, we can simply breathe out and open and rest in the radiant heart moving in all directions. Breathing out that radiance and breathing into it. And we can rest here at any time. I am worthy of love and forgiveness. And then see if there's any more room. And if there isn't, that's just absolutely fine. We just rest in that vast open space. We can open our hands, let the hands and arms relax, just resting in that vast openness. This is the nature of the most forgiving heart. And if you feel like there's any more room, you can consider the forgiveness in the third direction. But this is only, again, in its time. It's not always available in any one certain condition. And if it's not available to you now, you simply rest in that vast open space, in the good heart, in the collective source of goodness. Don't put too much pressure or demand on yourself. But if you feel like there's room, you can recollect a moment then where another has caused you harm or pain. Another has hurt you knowingly or unknowingly in a thought, word, deed, or in the lack of them. You can picture a moment, and again, we don't always shoot for the worst moment. It's not skillful. Pick a moment that feels available. As you breathe into the heart, picturing this moment, feel the grief and the sorrow, the pain, remembering that there is that wide open goodness, that infinite vast sky-like quality that can hold evenness. There is no one cause. There are infinite causes and conditions to all actions. We cannot necessarily see the whole truth of it. You may notice a resentment, a judgment, condemning oneself and the other. Just noticing. And then you can begin to release the burden by softening the body, offering forgiveness, at least setting the intention towards forgiveness or mercy as best you can offer it today, when the heart is ready. I now remember the many ways that you have hurt or harmed me, wounded me out of fear, pain, confusion, and anger. I've carried this pain in my heart too long. I understand the consequence to myself. To the extent that I am able in this moment, I offer you forgiveness. To those who have caused me harm, I offer my forgiveness. I forgive you. I forgive you to the extent that it is possible now. Breathing, not letting that pained heart solidify, seeing if we can keep the fluidness of the breath available, moving it through the whole body. Touching into this tight and tender spot as we breathe out, breathing out into the truth of the vastness, the spaciousness, the one collective good heart that holds everything. Feel held, feel embraced, feel the warmth of love, of forgiveness and mercy all around you. I forgive you. I forgive myself. Letting that breath filled with mercy, filled with compassion, filled with forgiveness, moving in all directions. Letting it touch the light of the radiant good heart and move out and in, purifying, unifying. Melting the contraction. I forgive those who I have harmed. I forgive myself for the harms I have caused. I forgive others who have harmed me. Forgiveness moving in all directions. Held by the vast, open, spacious, radiant and luminous, merciful, one heart mind. I have held this suffering for too long. It has not served me or others. And to the extent that I am able, with each out-breath, I release me and I release you. I ask to be released and forgiven, and I forgive. I am deserving of forgiveness. You are deserving of forgiveness. I am capable of forgiving. You are capable of being forgiven. We are all deserving of compassion, of love, of kindness and forgiveness. And as Jesus said on the cross, as he was being crucified, forgive me, Father, and forgive them, for they know not what they do. The truth of ignorance, the truth of pain, and its consequence. Forgiveness and mercy in all directions, inward, outward, and all around, breathing at him. And with the next out breath, we rest back, letting go of any form, any constructs, any me's, any you's, any deserves or not deserves, worthies or unworthies. We simply let it go so that we can rest, dissolve the self into the open space. Where all is forgiven. Where all is held like the loving, needed of by the lost child. Create space and room with each out breath, softening the tender and tight heart, that spot, releasing the body with the breath. Whatever harms have been caused, may they be healed. May whatever confusion contributed, may it be clarified. Whatever fears, may they be burnt up by love. And as we breathe, we then no longer breathe simply for ourselves, but all beings, all those who have been harmed and all those who have done harm, all those who seek forgiveness and all those who cannot yet be forgiven. And we remember that we are all of these. May we all have happiness, true happiness. Breathing it in, offering it like good medicine to your own heart, and then sending it out. May we all be free from fear, from pain, from confusion, and all suffering. Sending that compassion out with the out breath. May we remember and take great joy at our own good fortune and wish this good fortune for all beings. Whatever good, whatever wealth, whatever health and happiness you have, may you wish it be so for all beings. May we rest in the luminous, wise, and loving heart, larger than the sky, larger than this physical body, larger than anything we could imagine. Can we feel its warmth, its contact, its presence? May we rest there. Beings are numberless. I vow to save them. Afflictions arise endlessly. Suffering is everywhere. I vow to relieve it. The Dharma gates are boundless. I vow to realize them all. Awakening and forgiveness are attainable. I vow to embody it fully. May we all be happy. May we all be safe. May we all have peace. This day is good. Let all the wrongs be forgiven and all the good remembered. And may our practice today contribute. So be it. Thank you all for joining me this evening. This is a particularly challenging practice. It can evoke a lot of feelings or lack of feelings. And don't place more expectation or demand on yourself this evening. Let the evening be restful. We have done a lot of important work today. Thank you for your willingness and courage in opening to this practice this evening. Thank you. And for those of you who want either this writing by Jeff Foster or the practice that is written on the forgiveness in the 3 directions, just let me know. I will send that to you. It's already past 9 o'clock. And so please have a peaceful, restful evening. Don't, again, do too much more, place more demand on yourself. I'm going to leave the meeting open for a few moments. I won't close it out, just so that you can let me know if you'd like either of these writings. And I look forward to practicing again with you tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. as we look once again at the Bodhisattva path. So wonderful to see all of you. Carol, so nice to see you. Haven't seen Carol in a long time, I think since last summer. Crazy, if that's even a possibility, but I think it's pretty close. Everyone be well. Thank you for being here with me. Blessings to you. I won't turn it off. I'll leave it on for a few minutes. So chat me if you want copies.
Good night, Diana. Thank you.
You're welcome. Good night.